entrepreneurial journey, I think, started in like 2009. So I think one big one, and I'll have to start by saying I don't regret it, but it was an oversight at the time. You know, if you go into partnership, make sure that you guys have very different skill sets or complementary skill sets. I think my first business partner is amazing, so smart, but we were both very like content, marketing, you know, that's kind of where we are. And so I think there was so much overlap that, yes, we had different roles, but, you know, for example, we had to outsource all of our creative and all of our development and all of this different stuff, whereas now my business partner is a creative director. We are both very strategic, but we think we kind of come at it from different directions, which is very nice. And also, I mean, we save tons on the fact that he can develop websites, he can, you know, do all of our creative, all of that stuff. And it's funny because he actually tried to partner with us in the first venture, and we were like, nah, we got it. So I don't regret that decision because I learned so much through that process, and I wouldn't have had that kind of takeaway. But that was one big thing, is just choosing a partner that can really take your thinking and challenge your thinking and take the concept and really bring it to a higher level.
Can I ask how you found your partner? Like, did you guys already have a kinship blog?
My current partner, so we actually, and it's so random how things come together. He creative directed the first blog. I was fresh out of college, graduated into a recession. I had done a zillion different internships in the music industry, actually. I was at Interscope Records, and then when I graduated, it was just like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So there was this random like nightlife website thing, and they needed an editor, and they needed someone to work in the office, so I just did that. And he just so happened to have creative directed the website. So we started working together, whatever. Fast forward, I went on and built some other stuff, and that kind of led, I mean, probably 8 years later.
Wow.
Like, he just happened to be in town, and we had a conversation, and it just like went from there. But he, on my first venture, had actually designed the first logo. Mm-hmm. And then we were like, no, thank you. We're gonna do something else. Which, that might be a regret, actually. Because our branding could have been better, but we were bootstrapped. Yeah, that's how we connected. I think it's just a testament to, you never know who you're going to be building with or who you're going to encounter again. So I think one thing I've done very well in my career is build relationships. Even when I was in a place in my career where I felt like, oh my gosh, I know I'm smart, I know I'm talented, how am I in this position because I don't like this role or whatever, in my 20s. Like, just the relationships that I built during that time, and just being nice to people and like being all of those things. Now I look around and have a very strong support system, and that's really, I think, the reason that Crown has been able to be successful as it has been thus far.
I'm still young. I don't know. Yeah. But I would just say, okay, I guess one mistake. It's not really a mistake. I just wish I would have done it earlier. Mm-hmm. It's like actually like create a financial plan for yourself. Mm-hmm. Like kind of like how much is it really going to take? Like, don't just kind of go with the flow and like put it together in Excel as you go. Kind of just really like kind of have like a vision of how much is really going to take, how much you want to make, and things like that. It'll make your life much easier. And then just like don't force anything. Just kind of let things happen organically. And Tracy says a lot, but don't hold back because you don't have something. Find a resource and create it yourself. That's what entrepreneurs do. They create resources themselves and they find it. They don't just wait for it to be handed to them.
Yeah. Don't hide from the finances because they will find you.
They will.
And it's not a fun game of hide and seek. So everything that these ladies said, I'm trying to think of some really specific moments. I stopped this from happening, but I don't know why it didn't, like, I don't know why it had to be like a last minute rush to to stop a disaster. But so I just recently put out affirmations for dope men, because I had a lot of dudes who were like, yo, Tracy, this is awesome, but I don't really identify with the pronoun her or she, right? So I was like, okay, cool. I was thinking about how, you know, for Father's Day, it is basically the size of a dime compared to the mammoth that is Mother's Day, and how there is really not a lot of male empowerment, so to say, and there's a lot of bashing, but they were still created by God too, even if a lot of them are dogs. Anyways, so I wanted to create that. Now, it was supposed to come out last June. All right, this is gonna be a very transparent story since I've already started rolling with it. And all right, so again, going into how it's very important to have pure energy, right, trickling down into this pot of affirmation. So I wanted it to be male produced because I kind of wanted to have some 808s on it. You know what I mean? I just wanted it to sound like if you had your phone on shuffle, your iTunes on shuffle, and Future came on and then this came on, it wouldn't be this big disparaging difference. Anyways, so I had a friend of mine produce it. Well, a guy that I was cool with, that I am cool with, produced it, and then he was in a really crazy relationship with a girl that I was cool with, and she put up photos on Twitter saying that he beat her. I know to the left, you didn't see that coming, right? Yeah. So that happened. They had a very weird, tempestuous relationship that I wasn't really invested in. But I almost put it up still because I don't know, maybe I don't really know. But then all of a sudden, as soon as I was about to hit publish last year, I was like, yo, bitch, what are you doing? Like, chill on out. Like, it doesn't matter what story, like, where the truth is in the middle of this, don't do that. And then fast forward to this year, in the middle of the night, that track came on, and I loved it so much, right? And I said, you know what, I'm gonna write all new freaking affirmations, I'm gonna do new artwork, everything. And then right before I was about to publish it, I'd done the affirmations again, I was like, why do you still have the same production? Like, switch up the entire energy, son. And I had like texted her too to see how she would feel if I put up, even though I knew the answer, but I also just needed to be solidified that that was the right answer. But yeah, but I almost put up something that would have been stained by a man accused of beating, a woman. And that's because I was so caught up in the thrill because the production sounded so good that I needed to just take a step, a pause, and really just like assess the entire situation to make sure, again, that the energy was right, but it wasn't. The end. I got new producer, yeah.
Okay. Do you guys have any questions for them? I'm going to open it up for a few questions.
My name is Alex. I'm Tracy's intern, as you guys know. To piggyback off of what you just said, I want to know, in situations like that, how do you separate business from personal? Because that's your friend, you know, but you're trying to get this money.
Right, money. Right. No, you just be very direct. So like the one thing that, and you guys can already tell from my personality, is I'm just kind of no holds barred. Not to the point where I'm just gonna be blunt without any form of sensitivity, but nah. I called immediately and I was just like, bruh, I understand you may have your truth, like his mother had called me, but right now, you know what's gonna trump truth right now? Perception is about to trump truth right now. And it's just not going to work out when I have connections with people. There are ears on this project that do not have my number to call and say, hey, this girl's tweeting crazy, what is this about? It's just gonna be whoever put out the first negative tweet, and that shit starts rolling down the retweet hill. And then there's just not gonna be any room for me to explain myself. And then when I do explain myself, it's just gonna be too late because I'm coming from the corner of defense. And usually when you're coming out of that corner, what do you look at?
Right.
Guilty.
The
You know?
internet is undefeated.
So I just have very real conversations, and at the same time, I cushion them with empathy, and I always do positivity sandwiches. So out the gate, you say something positive, your constructive criticism is the meat and the cheese, your last slice of bread is the positivity.
Hey ladies, my name is Stephanie, and my question is, how did you fund your business? Was it self-funded? Did you reach out to investors? If you reached out to investors, how did you find them? Did you Google them? Did you reach out to your network?
Crown is bootstrapped. So everything that we've put into the company thus far is from our own pockets, which is very fun. Our real thing is, I'm starting the process of, going to the VC events and, starting to meet those people so that I have kind of connections and relationships already, kind of in the pipeline, so to speak, leading up to potentially if we did want to scale later or whatever. But I think for us, it's very important, especially serving the niche that we're serving that is traditionally underfunded or not funded at all. It's very important for us to really prove the business model and to prove it for a certain amount of time before going to those people, because if we were able to get funding at this stage or in the near future, we would likely have to do it. It's like going back to the music industry. Like, if you have no buzz and you're trying to get a deal, you've already failed because you're about to get screwed for all of your money. So really, kind of in that same vein, wanting to lock in the advertisers, really prove that we have the people are purchasing. So showing our track record of how many people have pre-ordered, and then once it's out, people are still ordering, and we're pushing it through, through all of these different channels, and we have these influencers involved, and like building a case almost for ourselves that's like, you would be crazy not to invest in this if we even want those dollars at that point. And really, I think for us, because telling our story is the cornerstone of the brand, we want to make sure that it's like similar to you, it's like one of our mottos is the vibe is everything. Mm-hmm. So it's like, we don't want that. Yes, you want money, right? You want to make things easier, you want all of those things, but it's so important for us to tell our story in an authentic way that if the vibe is messed up, nobody's purchasing anything. So it kills your business model right there. So yeah, we are bootstrapping, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, I'm doing the same damn thing. But again, it's clean money, and I'm just learning more about economics more than ever before because I'm in the recycling system of my own money. And I've had instances where, like, from jump, once I put out the first audio vision board, within 2 weeks, I had a major name who wanted to invest. But even though I was still like very on a freshman stage with knowing how this side of it goes, I had watched enough Shark Tank to know that this was about to be a black hole. So, I also hollered at some of my friends, and I decided to pass on it because I'm not starving. You know what I mean? And I really want to make sure that I know every single corner of my brand. I get it to a place where it has potential to be ubiquitous. I get it to a place where it can really stand on its own 2 legs. And then I can see how someone else comes in, because especially right now, the personal development world, wellness world is real hot. Mm-hmm. It's real hot. And I just want to make sure whoever I'm aligning with, they're not just in it because they see it as a trend spot for the next season. They're really in it because they see longevity. And again, I don't feel rushed. I feel like that's coming in. That's actually been part of my prayers with God, is just asking for the right person to enter my life and just protect me from anyone who just has ulterior motives. But right now, when it comes to money, in some instances, I do a lot of bartering with my friends. Because I have a lot, like one of my friends, Fab, who's freaking phenomenal, and she's like in the event industry, and I will swap all the time our skill sets for organizing and for events or for whatever. So I just see how I can be of service to others, because sometimes you can pay people back in ways that has value just as much as $1.
I'm bootstrapping too. I do what Lindsay and Tracy do, but one additional way that like early on when I really needed some money, I did my first vending event. And so like you have to like pay $500 for a table. And so like what I did first actually, because I knew we would sell, like I knew we would make money, is like I kind of did like an investing with like friends and family who I knew had money. And so like, you know, I wrote this letter, I asked them to give money. And so basically they invested in me, they had a return on investment, and I gave their money back. And so like you can think of creative ways to not get yourself in debt, because you don't want to take on debt too early unless you know you have like the next major app. Like those VCs and like a lot of big investors, they really look for the next like tech thing that's really going to scale large. And so you don't want to take on a large piece of debt on your idea too early, especially if you're in the creative industry. You know, like you're really trying to sell a story more than like trying to make dollars. So you have to be really strategic.
What moment, because you guys sound like you all come from industries, music, web, tech. At what moment did you realize that you were no longer comfortable or that you no longer felt fulfilled working in an industry for someone else, and for you to make that move and actually create your own business venture? Did you do it because you felt that that was more fulfilling, but basically why did you leave and create your own?
Immediately. You know? It's funny because I think I knew on some level as an intern, like I started, it was Universal Music Group, Interscope Records was the label that I interned for, and I had been in international. I worked in Shady Aftermath brand management, or interned in A&R, interned in all of these different things. I remember just feeling like I was like this little tiny person in this big thing, and I think, you know, being very young, there was so much happening in the complete, I mean, I was in the building in 2006 when like the industry was just, everything changed. So from 2006 to 2012, I was in that building, and I think I knew, I started working there in 2008, like full-time working, and it was like within months, like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? You know, I think I was raised middle class, go to school, get a good job, and it was like, that was the path. I got the good job, you know? And then I just looked around and I was like, there has to be more than just like coming in, clocking in, doing this work. That has to be, and randomly enough, I ended up in finance. I don't even know how that happened, but it was very quick that I realized, I mean, looking back, it was a wonderful learning experience. I got to see, you know, tons of contracts, and behind the scenes, I saw Kendrick Lamar get signed. I saw, you know, a lot of really, built really great relationships in that building. But that was what sparked really the first venture I started, which was the online magazine called Made Woman. And it was really my partner at the time and I were both just looking around like, we thought this would be way better and way cooler. And she was working at like in entertainment too, doing trailers for some big name pictures, and we're just like, if I had known this, I would have done everything so differently. And that was really the catalyst that started that first platform. So to answer your question, it was very soon. That started my entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, but I think in the same token, we glorify the word entrepreneur, and it will just set people's impulses off, and the moment they have a bad day at their job, they're just like, fuck you, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur, and I'm gonna be Mark Zuckerberg's competition. You know, and in some cases that works, but and we're always hearing this fuck fear thing, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, I feel like fear is a really overprotective parent, but sometimes an overprotective parent all the time has your best interest at heart, and sometimes those best interests are actually accurate to your current state. And I would say, if you think of the worst case scenario, if you were to quit your job right now, the worst case scenario, and you are fine with that, then you are ready to quit. Mm-hmm. But if you are not, then you've got a plan, and that's totally fine. And the way that you stay comfortable because I really feel like, I was just talking about this earlier, I really feel like, as much as it is paradoxical to say, when we are in a state of confusion, we can still operate from a state of peace. I really feel like those two can be braided together. And as far as it comes to your job, strip away the job title, because you probably hate that because you don't identify with it, you know? And a lot of times, like, even if someone is like in the magazine industry, I'm using that because that's where I was for the longest amount of time, and you're like, I'm editor, and your entire, like, framework is wrapped around that title, you lose the job, you lose yourself. So what you don't lose are the intangibles, your skills. So no matter where the fuck you're at, even if you're just a waitress, there's something that you can grab that is going to be another step on the map to where you need to go. So if you focus on your skills, if you say, okay, well, guess what? Even if it's not the industry I want to be in, you're still going to need a business component. Let me go look through all this paperwork, Xerox these bitches, so when I get started on my own, I know what some of these things are supposed to look like. You know what I mean? I don't have to go and find them on the internet and wonder if this is like the certified version of whatever. But really just try to see what you can grab from it. And that's why, for me personally, life is so much easier having a spiritual anchoring, because I would drive myself crazy if I did not consent to this concept of, if God has me here, it's for a reason. So let me not waste the time. Let me find the reason. All gold is buried. So you're gonna have to do some work to get your gold.
Amen. I would just say, okay, so growing up, my mom was an entrepreneur and my older sister and all the other women in my family. And I was just really inspired by it because it's really empowerment. And you can really just like lead your family and lead your community. And so really, I just always knew, oh, I want to do that. I want to be empowered. I want to lead. You know, I want to like build a legacy for my family, for my community. And so I didn't know when I was going to start it. I didn't know what it was, but I always had an entrepreneurial spirit in everything I did. And so, I mean, I work in corporate America. I interned in corporate America. But that was all very intentional because like, I was like, I'm not going to teach myself how to be a worker. Like, I need that experience. I need to learn from somewhere else. But really, I know that it's not going to be permanent. I'm not going to stay here because just really like, it's simple. It's like their mission and their vision doesn't align with my life. It's like, what am I doing it for? That's what I ask every day. Like, so what am I doing this for? Why am I designing this website? So you guys can sell better jewelry. You know, things like that. It's like, it's not really an overall mission that's like really impacting me, my family, my community. And so like, I feel like that's something like you also need to take that. Like, it's bigger than just making money. Like, we need to create a legacy. We need to create businesses, foundations within our community. And as women entrepreneurs are very powerful. Like, once you're in it, it's really powerful. That's all I can say.
Well, that concludes our panel, guys.